This past weekend was the Marvel Tokon Beta, and in this video, I want to share with you what I thought was good about the game, what, let's say, personally annoyed me about the game, but I think are pretty easy fixes, and then the bad things I think about the game, and what I think they should really try to fix or change about the game. So first, we're going to start with the good, and characters are very fun to play in this game. Every character has a unique mechanic, and just on the team that I played, Storm has this wind mechanic that affects both how she moves and her special moves. Doctor Doom has a mechanic that reflects projectiles. Green Goblin hops on his glider and he can fly around that has a whole different moveset. And Spider-Man is able to web sling at you in various directions while also being able to vary his air momentum. And this is just 4 out of the 20 characters. Every character has a unique mechanic on the unique button, which is the 4th attack button. There are also lots of fun new ideas and interesting ideas in this game, and this point is probably the main appeal of this game for me as a fighting game player. For example, the initial announcement announcing the game was a 4v4. For most tag fighters, you assume the tag fighter is either a 2v2 game or a 3v3 game, so 4v4 has never really been done. I'm sure there actually are examples of it being done somewhere, but never to the scale of a game like this, I want to say. There are also refinements to the system, such as active tag, which unfortunately has been a pretty popular mechanic in the past couple of bigger tag fighters. In this game, active tag has a bit more restriction, because you can't do it like right away. You kind of have to wait for a little bit before you actually do it. But it is actually still a very strong mechanic, just not as strong as the other games. Or another example is a change to how wall mechanics work in this game. So in Guilty Gear Strive, the wall has health, and when you do a certain amount of damage, you start seeing cracks on the wall, and your wall spot, and you can break the wall. When you break the wall with a normal attack, you will return to neutral like this, and if you break the wall with a super like this, then you will get a hard knockdown. And you're able to repeat this over and over and over again. There's no like end to the wall breaks or stages or anything like that. In Marvel Tokon, you have to do a specific special move on the wall or a throw to break the wall, giving you much more control of the situation. But not only that, all the stages are different in this game, which if you've played other 2D fighters is actually quite a big surprise, as that's normally more of a thing in fighting games like either Injustice, which is a pretty unique game in its own right, or say platform fighters. And for example, the first stage we saw in the trailer was New York City. There is a cool night version and a daytime version. So you start every match on the middle stage, and if you break the wall here, and I'll do it a quick way by using throw, you will transition, which will also unlock a character. Then, when you're on the right side of the stage, there is an edge here. So if you are to use something like throw, the thing you broke the wall with, it will instead wall splat, or if you do, in Storm's case, it's this move. So if you do this, it will splat on the wall as well. But if you were to do this on the left side of this stage, you will actually return back to mid-screen. And this also applies to the left stage. So if you do it, you'll transition to this part of the stage. And then over here, there's a wall where you can splat against. And again, you can break the wall here and go back to the middle of the stage. This actually means that you have a lot more control over the wall, as you could do basically as long of a combo as the game allows, and the wall won't break unless you do a move that specifically breaks the wall. And like I mentioned, stages are different sizes as well. Where Wakanda is also 3 parts like New York City, the Savage Land is actually 5 sections. As in, you start in the middle, you can transition to another stage, and then go through the right once again here, and then finally reach a wall at this part of the stage, and vice versa for the left. And then there's Nowhere, which shows 5 pages, but actually has no wall to splat at all. And then there's X Mansion, which looks visually different from all this other stages on the stage select, and that is because this stage has no transitions, meaning both sides cause a wall splat. The wall is valuable too, as you have access to special combos and enders, and instead of breaking the wall splat can give you even more combos or also setups. Coming up with teams is also quite fun in this game. So when the game releases, I plan on making a guide pretty early for new players on how to make a team, as I managed to figure out a way to think about team building pretty quickly on day one. But essentially, I think they did an excellent job of simultaneously consolidating assist choices and also getting you to really think about your team composition anyway. As a quick review, you start the game with a leader and a shooting character, which is a neutral assist. And this is the second character that you pick. So that means Magic, Miss Marvel, Blade, Magneto, really any character, they will fire a projectile. Your third character is a vertical assist. So these are assists that hit upward. The main thing you're thinking of here with the vertical assist is, do they fire a projectile like Green Goblin, or do they do some type of physical attack like Spider-Man? And then the last character on your team is an assault assist, and these are truly unique assists. They are all individual to each character, and is the most initial important choice besides your leader when you're first building a team. Workshopping these ideas and refining your choices as you play is pretty fun, and this is all before digging into the tag system, which opens up new combos in offense. Speaking of combos are pretty fun in this game, and we really have barely scratched the surface. This game has a similar system to Granblue, where there is a combo limit, but unlike that game, there are ways to reduce the combo limit, leading to a ton of options where you're actually hitting people. Like an example I showed before, things like assists and EX moves all let you extend combos. Characters can quickly dash around the screen, air dash quickly, and you can vary movement with jump, super jump, along with dash affecting your momentum, along with some characters having the ability to fly, and even unique special movement properties on specific characters. Finally, the last thing that I think is good about the game is that the active tag in this game is mostly fair. It is really good, don't get me wrong, but there are more restrictions around when you could use it compared to other tag fighters, which means it's not as impressive as other games, even though it's really good. So next things that personally annoyed me, maybe other people don't have these problems, but these are personal problems I have. I don't think they're things that are bad about the game necessarily, just things I often find myself sighing over when they happen while I was playing. And for starters, we have to talk about the normals in the game. Normals in this game just feel like they have a lot of recovery, and the culprit really comes from that it lines up with GGST, but not specifically it's like GGST, it's what moves they decided to pick to line up with it. And what I mean is that typically in a fighting game, you consider jabs to be pretty fast, and then mediums to be like medium speed, and then heavies to be pretty slow. So the heavies on Whiff predictably have a lot of recovery. You can see that her standing H has 49 total frames. We're going to be talking about the total duration of the move of startup, active frames, and recovery, which is a long time, but it's a heavy move, so it's chill. Same with her 2H. It has a lot of startup, but it's chill. But I really think people are feeling it on their lights because these have the same data as slow kicks in Guilty Gear. So this is her 2L, her crouching light, right? And as a jab, you feel like this should be a lot faster, and typically jabs total duration in fighting games can be as much as 20 frames, which is like borderline seeable, and as little as straight up invisible. So like Third Strike Chun-Li, for example, famously I think has a 2-frame startup jab, and probably like the move has 0 recovery, right? Just really fast. This is 24 frames total, but it looks like a jab, which just really messes with you as a fighting game player. So it just feels slower than it should be. This fault might be a bad thing, but I found that the more that I played the game and the less that I swung with normals, especially lights, the faster and snappier the game felt, which is kind of an odd thought, I want to say. The second thing I want to talk about is the amount of like forced restrictions on things and forced recovery on things. I saw a few other people complain about this. I'm pretty sure I have a specific one that maybe not everyone else is complaining about, but let me explain. So if you've been keeping up with people talking about the game, there's a specific thing about when you can call assists. There's a restriction on that people say feels kind of counterintuitive. It looks like this. So Storm has this lightning attack, and you can't instantly call an assist after this. You kind of have to wait for near the end of the move. So something like this. If you try to call the assist right away, you actually won't get it at all. You just have to wait a crumb, and then it'll give it to you. I think this is actually pretty intuitive personally, as generally in team games, you want to call the assist near the end of special moves like that, so you wouldn't normally want to do it right away. that's just me, but I guess people are just so used to being able to do it whenever that it feels kind of weird. I thought this is not a big deal compared to the forced recovery on stuff. So this idea is a little bit different, where if you have a move, let's say you have startup, active frames, and recovery, and you have a move with a lot of active frames like this move. So if you hit with the end of this, it will always have the same advantage as if you hit with all the hits. This is relatively new in fighting games, and generally in older fighting games, if you hit with the later part of a move, especially special moves that travel forward like this, you would have a different amount of frame advantage. I don't think it matters so much with this, for example, but this really bothered me with moves like her air tornado, especially doing her tornado downwards. I think it just feels really odd that you could make it hit so many times and it still just forces you to have the same recovery. It forces you to use an assist too. I just was not a big fan of this. The thing is that you could use this to create new combos or potential strategies, so not having the ability to do that is kind of pain. For example, way back in my first competitive fighter, Melty Blood, you have this property on my main Kohaku. If you do the follow-up of this sword normally, you can't really do anything, but if you time the follow-up to make the opponent fall on it, as in at the end of the move, you can actually extend and do a really long combo, and this is a really iconic combo, and it only works because of this property. So it is kind of pain that you don't have access to any of these kind of things, and it affects some characters more than others. Again, I feel it more because I think Storm would benefit from having this, but again, it's a thing that annoys me, not something that necessarily needs to be fixed, and a lot of new fighting games have this. Now, another thing that bothered me about the game is the relative low hit stun, block stun, hit stop of the game. Now, this is definitely on purpose, and as I played, I do see the vision on why it's like this. So for starters, it makes it feel like people aren't stuck, and it makes it easier to jump out of things and mash out of things. When new players get into tag fighters, one of the main complaints is how oppressive the games are, and this definitely helps. It also encourages you to spend multiple assists in a sequence, which will not just give you the advantage that you want, but also makes it harder for them to keep you locked down for an extended period of time, at least for now, as there is active tag. The other thing that's annoying about this for me is that it just really puts the onus on the person who is attacking to confirm the situation quickly, while the person who's on defense can kind of just like hold up or like try to mash out or like just guess with something on defense, and it's just really hard to see. Again, probably a skill issue that as we develop the game, we're kind of just gonna be like, remember that thing we used to complain about? Is that a big deal? And I can admit personally in the past in other new fighting games of me making complaints about certain aspects of offense when the game came out, and then later being like, I was kind of wrong about that. So maybe this is one of those, but just right now, it's annoying. That's why it's going in this category and not the actual, oh, it's bad and change it. The big thing to keep in mind too as far as this is that when you call an assist in neutral, it doesn't use your assemble gauge, the green gauge below the bar. This gauge only gets used when you are attacking an opponent either in block stun or in hit stun. So some of these things you can combine both assists and then get the advantage that you need. So finally, the things I think are truly bad about the game and things that I really hope they fix and are probably not skill issues. And before I start, I'm not going to be talking about the PC version. Side note, I am pretty sure you could not hear my PC this whole time while the game is open off screen here. My PC is literally screaming at me while I'm running this game. I was really surprised I could actually play the game. But we're not going to be talking about the PC version or talking about how bad crossplay seems to be sometimes. A lot of people are complaining about that. If you use, say, Reddit or Twitter or Blue Sky or whatever social media platform and are talking about this game, you probably have heard somebody mention these things or meme about these things. So I will not be touching on these, even though I kinda just did, but whatever. So the first thing is the command interpreter, aka the input reader, whatever you want to call it. This is bad. I don't know how else to put it. The main thing being that it is surprisingly strict for a modern fighting game. The one that some more of the hardcore viewers would have heard about would be about how Dragon Punch motion, so forward, down, forward, you have to end in down forward. So Storm's command grab is 623, like this. This is the A version. But in the case you do 6236, you will get a Dragon Punch and not this. So there are times where if you're doing like forward instead of the dash button, and you're trying to do a dashing quarter circle, you're gonna get a Dragon Punch. And one of my theories was that this game probably uses the same motion input buffer as Guilty Gear. And for those that don't know, in Guilty Gear Strive, there is a separate input buffer for motion inputs and supers compared to every other action. In this case, you have Storm's Core Circle 4, 2 through 6. If you hold down, what the game will do is when you go from down to down forward, when you do this thing, the game goes, oh, are you going to do a quarter circle? And it will check for a certain amount of frames if you go to the next input, which would be forward. So you could hold 2 quite literally forever and go to 3 6 and you will still get it. You can do 2 3 6 like this, or you can do 2 3 6 and delay your light quite a bit and still get the quarter circle. So in Strive, it's from the quarter circle forward to the button, you have 9 frames and it feels about the same. So I think this is low-key the culprit for why it kind of feels that way for a lot of people, but this is not actually the complaint that I have. The complaint that I have has to do with jumping command normals. So specifically that Storm has a jump forward heavy, but if you do jump up forward, you will not get the move. But she and basically everyone else has a jump down heavy like this, and this can be performed with jump down back and jump down forward. So jump down is super lenient and you could get it a bunch of ways, but jump forward, if you do up forward, you get heavy. If you do down forward, you get down, but if you do forward, you get this. And this really sucks because her whole main B&B that was doing this patch, I literally just messed it up just now and I was trying to do it. If you get this jump H and not jump forward H, you might die. They might just come at you and you press this button a lot in combos. For special moves, another one that people mention is down down. I understand that these are annoying, but at least you can bind the button to quick skill. This also kind of leads to another problem of the game that I'll talk about in a little bit, but I don't really see a way to get around the command normal thing, and it is very, very, very obnoxious. I hope they either make this more lenient or let you do jump forward heavy so that you get jump forward, just something. This was a thing that made me feel really bad while I was playing, because I would get hit and immediately drop the combo and someone would tech at me and mash and I would die, and it really sucked. So back to quick skill. This is the button setting menu for the game, and I'm on PC, so there's up, down, right, left. I'm pretty sure they won't have this on the PlayStation version, so we can start from light, medium, heavy. And so you have light, medium, heavy, assemble, which is call and assist. Then you have unique, which is the character's unique button. Then you have quick skill. You notice that I don't have this bound, right? You have quick dash, which is like the dash macro in Guilty Gear. And a lot of fighting games have it as a 2-button macro, usually on light and medium or medium heavy. I think for my Marvel players, you can do either light and medium or medium and heavy. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't really played Marvel like that, and I used to do light medium when I played Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. There is a tag button, which is different than assemble, and it has to be on a different button because you have 3 assists. So you call the assist by doing down assist will be your vertical, back assist will be your assault, and either neutral assist or forward assist will give you shooting. So you need something separate for tag. That's why there's a tag button, which you do with its button. And then you have quick assemble, which I have bound but I don't actually use, along with various macros. And quick assemble gives you access to the assemble mechanics, so like the rush thing here, or the reversal, or the overhead, as well as the crossover guard cancel. Now these can also be performed by pressing 2 buttons, but because I have my assemble on the bottom right of my lever, I have to do this with my hand, which is pretty weird. So light, medium, heavy, and then on the bottom, unique dash assemble. So the quick assemble is light plus assemble, which is just the top left button and the bottom right button. Just kind of weird, but I got used to it after a while. Again, this means there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 potential buttons that you can have. 7 is okay. I had 7 in Dragon Ball, but usually once you get to 8, people start complaining. And this you could potentially play with 9. So you don't need all these buttons, but it's like right on the border of too many buttons. I do think, and I mentioned this for a video I made last year about both this game and 2x scale, which also people complain about having a lot of buttons, that it's both necessary for the game, and I also think it's really with pad in mind, as pad has the 4 face buttons. So if you're on PlayStation, what, triangle, circle, square, X, and then the 4 triggers, right? L1, L2, R1, R2. So pretty easy on a pad, but if you play on a leverless or lever, 8 buttons is pretty just non-intuitive. There's not really any fighting game where you play with 8 buttons. Another thing I really think is bad, and I really want them to fix or change just a little if possible, would be the no additional block stun on blocked air attacks. So this one really bothers me. So there's relatively low block stun and hit stun and hit stop on stuff on the ground, right? But this also applies for the air as well. There's just really not a lot. You can see how quickly she just falls out and is able to move again. This is really not typical in an Arc Sys game at all. In basically every other ASW game, when you make characters block attacks in the air, you have a significant amount of advantage. In games like Exord with instant block mechanics, if you instant block a move in the air, you recover significantly faster. But in this game, you really get just nothing. It's just really hard to force people down. Again, I think this choice was made because of how you can call multiple assists, but it's just really annoying to actually pull off in the game and just get someone to like sit down there. Especially if I don't want to consciously use assist for some reason and I'm the person who's pulling up. Whether or not this is a skill issue remains to be seen. And as a side note, some characters are really good at doing this alone, such as Magic. And speaking of jumping, we have to talk about air throw. Air throw is also kind of annoying in that it feels like you get just 0 return for doing this. You can't really combo. It doesn't break the wall. You just throw them down. I just don't really see a way for you to actually do something off this, and I would love to do it, considering that when you whiff an air throw, you are stuck, and you can't really move unless you super jump, and there's landing recovery. So I would love for there to be more reward on this for how risky it is. There is 2H. They could block, but you could just call an assist. This is, you know, a little difficult on its own because of the air block thing, but it's far safer than going for this, but I would really like this to have more reward. And then the last thing I want to talk about is tag invincibility. This thing is a bit niche, but I think as people learn how to play the game more and more, it will become more and more of a factor, and it's pretty obnoxious actually, so I hope they make a change around this. So essentially, when you call an assist, let's call Doom. So he fires, and then he'll like stab his fingers and walk away into the portal. So when you call him, after he does the assist, after a little while, you can tag like this. So the thing is, during this walk back animation, there's a portion where he flashes green where you can't hit him. So here he is, and then if I can get there fast enough, I can hit him. I can also hit him when he's called like this. But once he flashes green here after, so here, I can't do it anymore. What this entails is that when you're calling an assist, when you're trying to like catch them, you can like be punished like this. This is a simple example, of course, because it's with a shooting assist that is, say, not going through you. It's just like kind of here. It's just the fact that you can use this on screen kind of as a parry, especially if you're jumping around and things like that. You might think that you can use a projectile to fight this, but it can even go through that as well. I just think that if the assist is out, it probably shouldn't be invul, and you should physically protect it like you do at the beginning of the assist call. And this would introduce a different guessing game of if someone hits the assist, how much should they actually do it, because you're able to move around and punish them. But yeah, that's basically what I like about the game, what annoys me about the game, and what I don't like / needs to be fixed about the game. The game was fun overall, and I really see what they're cooking, and if they fix a couple of these complaints I have, it could legitimately be a really fun and interesting game. If I had to choose one thing for them to fix right now, it would definitely be the command interpreter, because sometimes I legitimately feel like I'm fighting the game because of this, and it really feels bad. If you play Captain America, you'll probably feel this as well, because I know a lot of his combos also involve this input, on top of how many people were complaining about the special moves as well. But yeah, let me know how you guys feel. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, definitely feel free in the comment section below. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is on Patreon, patreon.com/LordKnight. I do free content there, like fighting game tips and thoughts on stuff. I do coaching there as well, and if you're in the $10 tier, you can have access to coaching recordings and summaries. At the higher tiers, I have like one-on-one coaching and stuff. You can check it out all there on patreon.com/LordKnight. I also stream on both Twitch and YouTube, twitch.tv/LordKnight, and on this YouTube channel, basically 5 days a week. If you're watching this right now, I might not be streaming because I streamed all weekend though, smiley face. That's where we practice the game, hang out, talk about fighting games, and also make content for my second channel, LordKnight Chronicles. Like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.